Doesn't usually make predictions, but for his next fight, he is. The undefeated super welterweight adamant he'll stop Japan's Takeshi Inoue within 6 rounds when they clash in Sydney in November on 17th. He spoke with Cody Kay.
Thanks very much. Well, Timmy, a little over a week to go before you jump in the ring with Takashi Inoue. Landed in Australia this week and looks like he's come out in good shape.
No, I had a little look. Yeah, he looks like he's in good shape. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get the best version of him.
What do you make of Takashi? I mean, obviously he fought for the WBO super welterweight title against Jamie Munguia. Didn't win a round on the scorecards, but he is a tough, willing, come-forward fighter. Throws that big overhand right. That seems like it's his real go-to.
Yeah, it's a tough, scrappy fight. That's the type of style he's got. So people with that style, it's never easy. It's a tough fight, but look, I'm looking forward to it. It should be good.
He looks like he's one of those guys that is there to be hit a little bit in the way he throws. I'm assuming that you've already spotted quite a few weaknesses there.
Yeah, there's gaps. There's gaps that I have to exploit. But the hard thing about these Japanese fighters is that you can keep hitting them and they can keep coming, and mentally that's tough. So it's all about timing with this certain fight. Not just hitting for the sake of it, but hitting in the right time at the right place.
I was going to ask you about that because Jamie hit him with some absolute bombs and it barely wobbled him. I think there might have been a standing 8 late in the round, but I look back to your second last fight against Dennis Hogan. You sprinted out of the blocks, and I assume against a guy like Takashi that may well just be impossible to get out of there because he's so durable. You may have to be a little bit more patient at times.
Yeah, well, look, my ring IQ will definitely show in this fight, and the fact that I have to be composed. I can't rush. This is a fight that's, every punch counts and every little thing counts. So, this is a strategic fight for me. It's not just a brawl, but it's a strategic fight. You had your birthday the other day.
All right, we're going to stop right there. On November the 17th, 7 days, Tszyu, 19-0 with 15 KOs, is going to be taking on Takashi Inoue, who is 17-1-1 with 10 KOs on Main Event and Foxtel pay-per-view over in Australia. Here in the States, we do not have a TV deal yet. It is possible we can get one via ESPN, and sometimes they don't let us know until maybe about, 3 days or so before the fight. So if we don't hear nothing from Top Rank, or I don't get an email by, I'm going to say, this Sunday, as it's Wednesday right now, then it's likely that the fight's not going to be televised here over in the States. But in my personal opinion, this is Tszyu's biggest fight of his career at this point. Yes, bigger than the Jeff Horn fight, because this guy, Takashi Inoue, took Jaime Munguia to hell and back. Even though he didn't win a round on the scorecards, nonetheless, if you have a chance to go watch that fight, go on and check it out. I'm Tszyu Controversy with my colleague Big J with FightView360.com. We're here now covering every single Tszyu fight until he retires. And Big J, so far, well, first, before I bring Big J in, let me tell you who's on the undercard before we go into everything. So you got Tszyu versus Inoue, Wade Ryan versus Anath, I'm not even going to butcher his name, Joel Camilleri versus a Cohen Malzoudier, Dennis Hogan versus a Tommy Brown, Jackson Murray versus a Shant. Boy, it's some crazy last names on here. And a women's fight, Viviana Ruiz Corredo versus a Jacinta Alston, Alex Luell versus a Trent Girdham, and a Benjamin Hussein versus a Benjamin Hussein versus a Darwin Shagurit. Big J, is this a big card in your opinion? Looks pretty stacked to me for an Australian boxing card.
No, absolutely, yeah. I mean, as I said before, a couple of things changed and a couple of fights had to change. For 154, you've got, the top 1, 2, 3, like 4 out of the top 5 guys at 154.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Tim's obviously number 1. You'd have to put who dropped out that couldn't get in? I can't remember now. There was a fighter that was. I think he was fighting Dwight. Not Joel Camilleri, Wade Ryan. I can't remember who it was. There was a fighter that was fighting Wade that couldn't get back into Queensland because of the restrictions. But it's a stacked card for 154. It's a stacked card because Wade's a former Australian champion. So is Joaquin O'Leary. Dennis Hogan, we all know what he's done. Tommy Brown has won a couple of minor titles at 154. So at 154, it's best of the best that Australia boxing has to offer. So it's another stacked card by No Limit. And again, they're going to put on another good show, no doubt. Having said that, I think there's a couple of people shitting in their pants because the plan for Inoue has gone tits up. And here's why. Remember when they were supposed to have the fight in Queensland?
Yeah.
It's gone to New South Wales because of the border restrictions. New South Wales doesn't have any quarantine restrictions for double jab people, for international. So if you're international and you're double jabbed, you can go into New South Wales, no quarantine restrictions needed. So there's a little advantage, because if they still have it in Queensland, you'd have to have 2-week quarantine. Couldn't train.
Okay.
He doesn't have that. So I think, there's a few people going No Limit. They've seen this and now they've gone, oh my God, look at the size of this guy.
Yeah,
even though muscles don't win fights.
I got a picture of him on the screen, and he is huge, but that's been his body type. As I said, I covered him when he fought former WBO 154-pound champion Jaime Munguia. It's not Jamie, it's Jaime Munguia. And he's a come forward, solid pressure fighter, power puncher. Now, he's not out there to try to box. This guy's going to be out there throwing, I'm going to say, 50 plus punches around. Don't be, so, and I don't see Tszyu being able to stop him. If he does stop him, and Japanese fighters are known for having, solid chins and being come forward. But if he does stop him, then I'm going to give Tszyu a lot of credit. And looking at Tszyu's resume, okay, Steve, I'm talking about now, I'm not saying that Inoue is better than Jeff Horn, but the Jeff Horn that Tszyu fought, in my opinion, was long in the tooth, over the hill, and war torn. And that was back in, let me pull up the box rec right here. That was
last year.
Yeah, last year, 2020. Wow, doesn't seem like it was that. Seems like it was longer ago, but Tszyu's had 3 fights after then. Bowen Morgan, as Big J said, blown up welterweight. Dennis Hogan coming off of a long layoff, and Steve Spark, who was supposed to be Mick Zarafa, who I was then saying was Tszyu's biggest fight. But right now, your thoughts overall on the fight before we go any further?
Well, this is the thing. Tszyu's never fought a guy like this. He's actually an established 154. The last established 154 that wasn't coming off a long layoff, that was in his prime, world-ranked prime fighter, was Dwight Ritchie. That fight went 10 rounds, and Tim struggled against him. And Dwight Ritchie was not a big puncher. I think his knockout rate was like less than 10%. Had 20 fights, had 2 knockouts. So this guy is going to be a lot more bigger, a lot more durable, and a lot more, well, he's not going to be hard to hit, but he's going to be hard to knock down. Tim's used to people standing there and beating up. He's used to beating up little guys. He's a weight bully. Look at all the guys he's beaten up. He's never gone a full 12 rounds, right? And all the guys he's beaten up are all blown up welterweights. Horn, Dan Vessel, Jack Brubaker, Bowen Morgan, Stevie Spark. These guys aren't established 154 fighters. They're all blown up welterweights. Okay, Dennis Hogan was established 154, but he was at the arse end of his career, right, and coming off 2 bad losses. Yeah. So, Tszyu's going to have to really work for this. He might be in a bit of trouble here, because I'm like, this will be like, he's going from fighting small little guys to actually someone. I mean, look at the guy; he's freaking huge. So that, he's got that solid, chiseled physique, and Tim could be in trouble here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the fight because, as you said, and I agree that this is a fight that Tszyu going to actually have to work and show us a skill set. Now, if he does get a stoppage before 5 rounds, which he's been, doing a lot of recently, 5 rounds or under, then I'm going to really, really give Tszyu a lot of credit for that. But what I want to see is the skill set. I want to see him in this fight where he goes 12 rounds. Over here in the States, we call it, I want to see the dog inning. The dog, DAWG. You know, that's what I want to see. I want to see how, you know, Tim Tszyu is going to look in rounds 9, 10, 11, and 12 fighting the guy that's not going anywhere. That Tim Tszyu is going to be looking sometimes on the back foot, having to show his boxing skill and saying, damn, you know, I can't knock this guy out. You know, and Tim Tszyu said it in the interview that, you know, it's going to be a strategic type of fight. So at least, you know, he's aware. And I think this is really, really good matchmaking for him, especially since they're trying to keep Tim Tszyu in Australia or Australian soil boxing as long as possible. Very, very good fight that they was able to make. But also to look at Inouye's resume, now it ain't nothing there. 17-1-1 with 10 KOs. His last, actually, the last guy he fought, this Nath guy, I'm not going to butcher his name anymore, but he's actually fighting on the undercard. I didn't notice that, against Wade Ryan. So that's interesting. He fought this Nath guy in last year, actually, 1 year ago, November the 7th of 2020. And he's 6-0-2. Well, he was 6-0-2 at the time. Before that, January of 2020, Tszyu. Now, you also have to factor in, you know, maybe he couldn't get better competition, you know, because of the lockdowns last year. You know, that affected a lot of fighters. But even after Jaime Munguia, which was in January, nearly 3 years ago of 2019, he really hasn't done anything. You know, a 38-10, 38-10-1, a 3-4-1, and then the two guys we talked about, Chang Tszyu and Nath, with a combined 22-3 before they fought him. But don't let that fool you. This guy can fight.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely looking for it. As I've said before, I think 13 of his fighters that now have taken on have all had 10 fights or less. So
Yeah.
novice fighters. So you know, Tszyu and Inoue, their records are very similar. You know, they've taken guys that, you know, don't have those great records. They're all domestic. Most of them are all domestic fighters. You know, Japanese fighters that Inouye's taken on. So I'm looking to see what actually can happen here. The thing is that he's very durable, and Tim's weaknesses are the first two rounds. He looks very amateurish in those first two rounds. If you look at most of his fights, he's lost the first two rounds pretty much to everybody.
Yeah.
It takes him 3 or 4 rounds to get into it. That's where you need to get him. So straight from the start, that's where you need to get him. All right, is in the first couple of rounds. I mean, look at Stevie Spark. Stevie Spark clipped him a few times in that first round. Stevie Spark shouldn't be able to touch him. Maybe he was just, you know, disrespecting his power or whatever, but besides the point. And Tim's very predictable. Head, body, head, body, body, head, body. You can see him coming from a week away.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. His pattern is very easy to figure out. So I've been studying his tapes, you know, he has this pattern. Head, body, head, body, head, body, head, body. He likes going to the body, and you can see him come from a week away. So all this Inoue guy has to do is work on the inside, because Tim likes to fight at range. What do you do to that? Someone who fights at range, you work on the inside. Get on the inside of him, boom, bang his ribs in.
And we never really seen Tim Tszyu really have to dig deep on the inside. I'm looking forward to this fight for so many different reasons. But looking at the rankings at 154 pounds, let me break it down to you. Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano, the division is on hold for them. We're waiting, you know, for some type of news, anything. We're not getting any type of information on what's going on with Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano too, to be undisputed. Now, Tim Tszyu is the WBO mandatory. Erickson Lubin is the WBC mandatory. Irizlandi Lara and Israel Madrimov have to fight to unify that WBA world. Then the winner will be the next WBA mandatory. And Bakram Murtazaliev, the division really all falls upon him, whether he's willing to take another step-aside deal to let Charlo Castano happen. And he would likely have to be fighting for an IBF interim title in the meantime, because undisputed is important and they're really trying to get something done. So in the meantime, it's looking like if Tim Tszyu wins, he'll have the opportunity to have at least one more fight before he'll be ordered, before him and Charlo Castano or whoever has that belt will be given a deadline to negotiate a deal to fight Tim Tszyu. So right now, even though it seems to be taking him, longer to get off of Australian soil, he just turned 27 years old, by the way, Tszyu. But I don't think that his promoters have much time, left, less than a year to try to hold on to him before he'll have to align himself with a stateside promoter or even a UK promoter to be able to get a UK and an American, especially a stateside TV deal. And I really believe that's why his promoters and his team are doing, and I think they've been doing a great job, keeping him on Australian soil as long as they can. But in order to get a TV deal over here, and that's how it works, he's going to have to align himself with an American promoter and possibly be poached away from his Australian side for bigger money in the TV deal. That's how it works. Because as it stands right now, as we talked about earlier in the video, for a significant fight like this, especially, we don't like talking about it, but we're going to mention, yes, he's the son of Tszyu. Okay, he's the son. So that name, he's going to get a TV deal over here. It's all about how, his Australian side management team, are going to try to combat that, to try to keep him. Stay with us. We're going to work with Top Rank, PBC, Eddie Hearn or whoever to get you a TV deal. But right now, I don't want to ramble on too much, but I think that the time is coming. It could be his next fight before we hear that, he's going to sign with a stateside promoter or, the Zone or something like that. Because I know that all eyes are watching, and this may be the fight that really, others are going to look and say, okay, it's time to sign him up now.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen after he beat up Jeff Horn.
Yeah, I thought it would happen then too.
It happened a year ago. Yeah, and speaking of Kostya, it just ticked over 20 years since he knocked out Zab Judah, just for a bit of trivia. So that was the November 3rd, 2001, I think it was, November 3rd. Anyway, it was just knocked over 20 years, so shout out to Kostya for knocking out Zab Judah. That was freaking hilarious, one of the best knockouts ever. Anyway, moving on, but yeah, I'm surprised that someone hasn't snapped up Tszyu long before now, because plenty of other Aussies, the Maloney twins, George, Brock Jarvis just got recently snapped up by Matchroom. Ebony Bridges, we all know Ebony Bridges, what she's done. There's plenty of other Aussies that have been snapped up by international promotions long before they get a title shot. So I don't know what No Limit's doing to keep him, but they must be doing something to keep him at bay, because as I've been saying for the last year, he's wasted, 3 fights fighting 2 blown-up welterweights and aging Dennis Hogan. He should have been overseas. He would have got a title shot long before now.
But to be fair, they have been building his reputation and his name, because his name is being spoken in boxing circles over here more now in the States. So, see, I understand, and we do have to factor in, COVID, for what they was able to do during the lockdowns. The Jeff Horn fight. All these fights happened during COVID. Jeff Horn, Bowen Morgan, Dennis Hogan, Stevie Spark. And you guys have had the harshest lockdowns in, the world, right?
Wrong. Victoria has, not the rest of the country. Just Victoria.
Oh, okay. Well, nothing with the travel bans and everything. I'm still kind of impressed they were able to, get him in with shows, with crowds. So, I am giving credit there. But now, it seems as though it's really time to step it up. This fight's going to be on pay-per-view, as we talked about, $60 over in Australia, Foxtel, main event, KO Sport. KO. Over here in the States, we don't have a TV deal. By the way, what's the buzz looking like? What's the crowd like noise? Are fans buzzing for the fight? Do you think? How many fans does the arena hold?
Oh, they're only allowed 10,000 because of restrictions. Remember, we've gone through this last video.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so they're only allowed 10,000. Remember, they're giving away 1,000 seats to emergency services as a thank you for all their hard work. So it'll be I've no doubt they'll sell it out. It won't be any drama at all. It's Tszyu in Sydney. It shouldn't be a drama to get 10,000 people to rock up to that. Not a problem at all. So, yeah, the buzz for the fight. Well, knowing that restrictions are still going on, the country's starting to open up. But yeah, there seems to be quite a bit of hype about this. And now that I know he's turned up, there's a lot of people going, "Oh, this is going to be interesting." 'Cause it's not going to be a walkover.
Mm-hmm.
It's Tim Tszyu's not going to be able to knock him out in 90 seconds. It'd be funny if he did, but from what I'm seeing, I'm like, there might be a few people going, "Oh, hang on." This bloke doesn't have to quarantine. He doesn't have to, there's no interruption to his training camp. He's ready to go, and he's a unit. He's massive. I think a lot of people will be like, "Hang on a sec, Tim might be in trouble here. I might watch this fight," because I'm more interested to see Tim might. It's not going to be a walkover. There's not going to be an easy, okay, he's fighting some blown up welterweight. Yeah, who cares? Actually, no, hang on. This Japanese guy's huge. And people that want to see Tim lose will probably be interested in the fight. But like, there's a fair chance he might. It's like, hang on, what size is this guy? He's huge. He can take a
is
punch.
physically imposing compared to the last several fighters that he has fought.
Oh,
Tim Tszyu.
pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I can't look at anyone and say, he's physically menacing, definitely, and he's going to be menacing in the ring. Like I said earlier, I've seen this guy fight. If you have a chance, find it on the internet. I'm sure you can find it if you really look. Go look for Jaime Munguia versus Inoue. It's an action-packed fight, even though it was a shutout. Nonetheless, this dude, is a demon in there. He doesn't fuck around. Like, he's going to be right there in your face.
And that's something Tim Tszyu is not used to.
Mm-hmm.
He's used to, he's used to people just standing there and letting them beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, this dude's going to be there for Tim Tszyu to beat the shit out of, but he's not going to be able to. I don't think Tim Tszyu is going to be able to stop him, and this dude's going to throw back some hard leather himself. Like this, we're going to see. I'm really interested in this fight.
And that's the one thing Tim's not used to. He's not used to people hitting him back. Because Stevie Spark got him, and remember Wade Ryan clipped him,
mm-hmm.
and Wade Ryan's not a huge puncher, so it'll be interesting to see how he reacts when he gets hit and what happens. So I think this is going to be a drag out, but I hope so, because I want to see Tim Tszyu go a good hard 12 rounds, which he's never done. He's never gone 12 rounds. He's gone 10 a couple of times, but he's never gone 12 rounds, and he's never fought a guy this big. So.
Yeah. All right.
It's going to be a very, very, very interesting fight. Because if he can't get past this guy, he's really going to struggle if he gets Castano. So, I mean, he needs to
get past this guy, there is no Castano, So, I mean...
No, but what I mean, like, even if he wins and he gets, like, a narrow win on points, it's going to be like, oh, hang on a second. Okay, he barely got past the Japanese guy. What's Castano going to do to him? So,
yeah, for me, this is a good barometer to see like how he would do against basically, as I said, I want to see the skill set. I want to see him go the full 12 rounds against a guy that's going to be right there in his face, straight come forward. I want to see him to be able, like how he's going to look in what they call the championship rounds. That's what I'm looking for to see, him dig deep.
Yeah, and also because he's never been like this. He's never. I mean, his last 5 wins have all come under round 8, and they've all been easy wins.
Mm-hmm.
All been easy wins because he doesn't really get hit because no one's really hitting.
Yeah.
Because he's fought guys that have had virtually no knockouts on their records, except for CV Spark, but far too small. So that's what
he's fought guys that are not known to be pressure fighters straight in your face. I mean, Jeff Horn used to be, but this was an older Jeff Horn. As you said, what is his last 5 fights have been Jack Brubaker stopped him in 4, Jeff Horn stopped him in 8, Bowen Morgan stopped him in 1, brutally in 1, Dennis Hogan stopped him in 5, Stevie Spark, was just too small, stopped him in 3.
Exactly, yeah. And all but one of those guys were blown up welterweights.
Yeah, and that's been his last 2 years. That's been the last 2 years of fights.
Exactly. All but one have been blown up welterweights.
Yeah.
So, and a blown up super lightweight. So, it's going to be a big step, and I'm looking forward to the fight. And this will really see just where Tim Tszyu is, because this will be like, right, this guy's ranked, this guy's established, this guy's not going to be a pushover. What's he got? So. And I'm only giving him a slight advantage because he's been so active. I mean, he's coming off a year layoff, but that shouldn't affect him at this guy's age. I mean, It shouldn't really affect him. Maybe a little bit of ring rust, but let's see what happens. But I hope it takes it to him in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
So we might be in for an interesting fight. So you can't really call it either way. What do you think? I'm going 55-45 in favour of Tszyu, only because he's been so active.
Yeah, I'm 60-40 in favor of Tszyu. I just I just think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think it's going to go to distance, all 12. If there is a knockout, as I've said many times in the video, I'm going to be highly impressed.
As will I be. So I'll see what his body shots do.
Yeah,
He's got some killer body shots, but then again, that's beating up smaller guys. Let's see how he goes against a guy who's a bit bigger.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I guess that's a good place to wrap it up. You can take time and follow us on Twitter, at FightView360. Everything's up at the top of the screen. At T Street Controversy, at Old Mate Big J on Twitter, and our website, FightView360.com. Our rankings are updated monthly in accordance with the sanctioning bodies, WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO. We even have the ring rankings. Take your time out, like the video if you haven't, subscribe, only takes a couple of minutes. We are going to be here for all of the available Fight Week events, meaning that the final press conference, we will be streaming here live on the channel. The weigh-in will be streaming live on the channel. And if there is a TV deal, I will be posting that on my Twitter and on the FightView360.com website. And me and Big J will be doing another video, probably either after the press conference or the weigh-in, to give our final Fight Week preview. So the fight's going to be taking place in the Kudos
Bank Arena, New South Wales, and Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned that because the weigh-in will be 11 o'clock on. Final press conference 11 o'clock on Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Time, and the weigh-in will be 12 noon Tuesday, as usual.
Perfect.
So there's the time. Sorry to cut you off.
And at the bottom you can see it's Wednesday, November the 10th, 8:40 a.m. Eastern. The fight's going to be 1 week from the shooting of this video, but correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. Will they be in the ring now, or will it just be over?
It's 20 to 1 in the morning, so it'll be over.
It should be over, right? Like just ending.
Yeah. Oh no, not just ending. It'll be over by at least an hour, maybe even 2. So yeah, it'll be long over by now.
Okay,
21 and 1.
So we will be here also after the fight, giving you our post-fight results. And don't hold me to it if we're still working out some kinks, but we may be going live directly after the fight. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. This is T Street Controversy and Big J with FightView360.com.